Hello there friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. The Clone Wars is a really strange conflict. Instead of both sides using their own civilians and citizens to fight the war, they both employ proxies. The Separatist Alliance had their massive droid army, and the Republic utilizes legions upon legions of genetically modified clones. In a war where neither side's leaders have to worry about the casualties from a political and moral point of view, there seems to be less of an incentive to keep their soldiers safe. No one seems to care much about the mass destruction and massacre of clones and droids beyond the economic cost of building, training, and replacing them. This also leaves a lot of room for wartime atrocities and general lack of civility on the battlefield. But what about taking on prisoners of war? Did either side of this conflict attempt to do this? The Grand Army of the Republic at the grand strategy level is led by a civilian leadership. But the Jedi also heavily influence the decision-making process at every level, including what happens on the front lines. And from what we can tell, even several years into the war, the Jedi still tried to take Separatist prisoners.
My name is General Mace Windu. I'm giving you an opportunity to peacefully lay down your weapons.
Alright, maybe Mace Windu isn't the best example for this. He's a do things by the textbook kind of guy, and he has enough skill and talent to basically do whatever he wants on the battlefield, even if it means making a crazy speech that would never work before a battle starts. But for the most part, a Separatist battle droid would never surrender because there's no reason for its creator to program that kind of behavior into its droid brain. But then again, there's very little reason why they should have programmed fear into the Separatist droids, but they did it anyway. While it might be rare for battle droids to surrender, this didn't mean that the Republic didn't take Separatist prisoners. During the Battle of Christophsis, a quick-thinking clone trooper rips the head off of a T-Series tactical droid. This was after his unit was preparing for an ambush, but then were ambushed themselves by the Separatists. The tactical droid's head ended up revealing a bunch of information, including the fact that there was a mole inside of their unit. World Naboo security forces aligned with the JR also managed to secure a tactical droid's head on their planet. Information covered from the droid brain led to the discovery of a secret Separatist bioweapons lab. So it seems like the way the Separatist droid army is structured, a lot of information is dumped into these tactical droids' heads, which makes them prime targets for capture. They are essentially extremely advanced versions of AlphaGo, the first computer program to defeat professional human Go players. These droids have a massive amount of battlefield data stored in their heads, which are then analyzed by the droids to create the best battlefield strategies possible. They also are given mission briefings and objectives along with any other detail, making them a great target for capture. The Jedi and Republic clone troopers also usually try to capture Separatist leaders and generals. These were usually individuals who were either a part of one of the major corporate states that secretly ran the CIS or were mercenaries and warriors from Separatist worlds. These living sentient beings are given the chance to surrender and then used for gathering intel and for negotiations. During the Clone Wars, Galen Erso, the leading galactic authority on crystallography, was captured by Separatist forces. Director Orson Krennic of the Republic Strategy Advisory Cell needed Galen's expertise on crystals for a top-secret weapons development program. And so Orson Krennic planned on exchanging Separatist arms dealer Locke Durd, creator of the defoliator tank, and Dr. Nuvo Vindi, mastermind behind the weaponized Blue Shadow virus, both of whom were in Republic custody, for Galen Erso. When facing living opponents, the clone troopers would also try to avoid killing surrendered combatants. During the Siege of Mandalore, several of the Death Watch Mandalorians were captured and imprisoned. Amongst them was Gar Saxon, who would one day become the Viceroy of Mandalore under Imperial rule. So, did the Republic ever take rank-and-file Separatist battle droids as prisoners? Well, battle droids don't exactly have that much information stored in them. They don't have much strategic value either. They also aren't programmed to surrender from what we can tell. But what if you were able to take out a bunch of Separatist droids with, say, an EMP?
So that you may be reprogrammed to serve a better purpose than spreading the mindless violence and chaos which you have inflicted upon the galaxy.
Well, we know that the Republic have definitely reprogrammed Separatist battle droids for special missions behind enemy lines. During the Citadel rescue mission, a team of Republic B-1 droids need to pilot a ship that contains the carbonized forms of a Jedi and clone assault team. This is the only way they can get these organics past the outer defenses of the prison without being picked up on scans. These B-1 battle droids then joined the ground team on a mission and fought alongside the clones and the Jedi. It's really smart to use captured battle droids to fight against the Separatists. I don't know why the Republic didn't do this more. While the Separatist Alliance was seen as more of the bad guys in the Clone Wars, they definitely took a lot more prisoners than the Grand Army of the Republic did.
Do we take prisoners?
I don't.
And it's not that the Separatist Alliance was morally better or that the Republic conducted themselves better on the battlefield. It's because a clone trooper was worth a lot more than a B-1 battle droid, both in material cost, the time it took to train them, and because they were living beings and not just some kind of soulless machine. Sure, they were living beings without representation within the Senate, but certain Jedi commanders and leaders were willing to go to extreme lengths to rescue their clone comrades. The Separatist Alliance, of course, would use that against the Jedi and the Republic. One of the most famous clones taken prisoner by the Separatist Alliance was ARC Trooper Echo. During the operation to the Citadel we mentioned before, Echo was separated from his team when he was caught in a huge explosion. His fellow clones believed that he had died, but instead he was captured by the Separatists, rehabilitated, and then used by Techno-Union foreman Wat Tambor to generate battlefield tactics which could be used against the GAR. During a Republic operation on Crystar, the 212th Attack Battalion was deployed to check out a rumor that a secret POW camp had been created to hold clone troopers. A detachment of clones led by Clone Trooper Wax and Boyle went on a recon patrol and discovered that the rumors were true. They found several clone troopers being guarded by battle droids in a compound, and these individuals were actually being prepped to be sold to a Trandoshan as slaves. Trandoshans are basically like the predators of the Star Wars galaxy. They live to hunt things and have become quite bored of hunting non-sentient things. And so they have entire game worlds where they release dangerous beings to hunt. I'm sure the Trandoshans would love to hunt down a squad of clone troopers. When Captain Tarkin and Jedi Master Even Peel were intercepted by a Confederate fleet, they were taken alive along with several clone troopers and crew members on board the ship. These individuals were sent to the Supermax Citadel prison. Now, usually the rank-and-file clone is slaughtered and executed by Separatist battle droids. One, because clones generally didn't surrender either, and two, because the Separatist Alliance most likely didn't have the infrastructure necessary to house large amounts of clones. They would need to not only build housing, but provide water, food, and all of the other comforts a human being needs to stay alive. The Separatist Alliance would also take local defense forces as POWs. Basically, any sentient being that could be leveraged for a strategic advantage was taken. The Separatist Alliance would also have a partnership with the Zygerian slave empire and would use their battle droids to round up entire colonies of beings and sell them off to fund the war. The Separatists would also commonly capture civilians as hostages or use them as sentient shields for their own troops. So, during the Clone Wars, taking on prisoners was a pretty difficult thing to do. You actually risk your life when you accept the surrender of an enemy fighter, especially if you're a Jedi. Both Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker have used the protection of the white flag to carry out attacks on enemy forces. Then, if there is an actual surrender, you're going to have to expend a lot of manpower and resources to make sure that they stay prisoners. And so when the enemy is a hunk of metal or an enslaved clone, the safer and more practical option is unfortunately to destroy the enemy instead of taking them captive. So there you have it, guys. That is our coverage of how POWs were treated during the Clone Wars. As you can see, things weren't great for either side. Well, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.